Welcome to the CS seminar. We have here today our guest, Dongkuan Xu, actually also known as DK.
Yeah.
And he's a PhD student from the Penn State University. He's working on efficient deep learning and efficient AI, and today he will present us his recent research on democratizing AI at scale. So the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sheriff, for such kind of word. So hello, everyone. My name is Dongkuan. You can call me DK. I'm from Penn State University. So today I will present some of the recent research efforts centered around the resource-efficient deep learning. So in order to democratize AI at scale. So in this talk, I will first present some background and overview. Then I will introduce my two significant contributions. So after that, I will do a summary of existing research efforts. I will end up the talk with the future plan. So we observed that the phenomenal success in the past decade of the AI has been mostly driven by the construction of a large scale, the AI models or AI assistants. So you can see in this figure, the X represents the year, and Y represents the number parameter instead of representing the model size. So we can see for example, like around 2014, the model like the VAE and again, their number parameter is less than 10 million. However, in more recent years, like the GPT-2, GPT-3, so their number parameter is more than 1 billion. So the huge model usually achieve a good performance on different downstream tasks. But the problem is that they are difficult to use in practice due to the memory constraint. And so that's the one thing about the model size increasing. The second one is about the computation, the increase in the computation part. So in this figure, we can also, the X is the different years, and Y is the flops. It represents the number of operation inside that model. So we can see from the AlexNet to the AlphaGo, from the beginning and to the ending, so we can see there is a huge increase in compute of AI models, but which will double every 3.4 months. But in comparison, according to the Moore's law, it will only double like the 24 months in the 2 years. So there is a gap between the increase of the AI model in the compute and the support from the physical part. So let me give you a more vivid example. So this slide shows the GPT-3. GPT-3 is a very powerful and autoregressive large language model, which can generate the human-like article very smoothly. So you can see in this figure, the input is in the sentence, and the GPT-3 can generate naturally a whole paragraph according to the input sentence. However, although it is very powerful, but the problem is that GPT-3 requires a lot of the resources, including more than 300 gigabytes of the memory and 300 years for training using one single GPU, and also more than 500 gigabytes of data for the optimization. So the AI scale is powerful, but they are the resource-hungry beasts. My research is motivated by some of the resource discrepancy issues in the real world. So for example, like the large-scale center and the tech giants and the developed areas, so they have enough budgets and the devices. For example, they have many GPUs or clusters. They can experiment with the AI scale. However, for the edge devices scenario, for the most of individual researchers and the developing areas, the budget is limited, and some scenario with the very limited memory and with limited data. So the AI scale of this scenario is quite limited. This slide gives the big picture of my research. So my research is motivated by some of the real world, the resource constraints. So for example, we know that the large scale AI model or system during post-ID assumption, that it requires a lot of parameter, large scale data, and also a massive computation to get performance. But this assumption usually fails in practice. So for example, the computer memory could be very limited, and also the data could be large scale data could be expensive to collect due to some of the cost, or due to some of the privacy issue. And also the computation could be limited as in the most university labs. So my research aims to address these issues from 3 aspects. The first one, I study how to improve the parameter efficiency. So for example, I study the network compression, the network pruning, and neural architecture search. I also study, so the parameter efficiency aims to reduce the model size while let the model achieve a similar performance, so which can enable the individuals and or some small companies, even with the low resource devices, they can still with the experiment with the large scale AI. The second part, I study the data efficiency. So for example, I study the functional learning or contrastive learning. So this is more practical in the real world, because when we consider some of the real world scenario, the data is kind of limited. It's not, we cannot guarantee there's always a lot of data due to the privacy. So I want to make my research can bring about more the real world impact. And that's why I study the computation efficiency. The computation efficiency, more specific, I study how to reduce the training cost or for the energy consumption of the large scale AI models. So this can bring about, so if we can reduce the energy consumption of large scale AI model, we can bring about the benefits to the environment sustainability. So in summary, my research aims to improve the efficiency of the data, the parameter, and the computation towards the inclusive and the privacy preserving and the green AI. And there is a lot of application domains on my research. So all my research efforts is centered around the efficiency. So efficiency means that using less data, less parameter, and less computation, while at the same time we can achieve a similar performance. So for example, like smart cities, a self-driving car, and embedding system. Other applications include the VR, AR, and healthcare and sciences. So for example, smart cities, my research on the parameter efficiency, for example, like model compression and network pruning, it can reduce the model size, which can reduce the infrastructure cost in the smart city. It can also bring about the social inclusion. So you can make people, no matter how smart the cell phone it is, they can utilize for example, like the face recognition, so some of the AI techniques. And also the self-driving car, 2 important factors. One is the response, real-time response. The second one is energy consumption. So my research on the computation efficiency can be achieve this benefits these 2 factors. The last one would be the data efficiency. So the AI for science is quite popular now. The one challenge in the AI for science is that the structure is organized in some of the complex relationship. For example, there will be some of the temporal pattern relationship, but also could be some of the spatial pattern relationship. Now, how can we take the most advantage of that relationship could be benefits the research in the AI for sciences. And also, typically the data in the sciences sometimes is sensitive, for example, the label or gender or the bias. So the privacy preserving is desirable. So this is my background overview. So any question until now? Yes, please. I think it is true that the people in the computer science always try to improve the efficiency of the learning in this domain, but the different or the problem is getting more severe, getting more the worse when we doing some of the AI scale. So the AI scale means that usually the model is with a lot of parameter and consume a lot of energy. So this problem will becomes worse under current the research and the efforts development. So another some challenge would include how can you design some methods for some of the recent proposed the AI scale technique, like some of the specific architecture, like the transformer or like some of the training pipeline. So I think my contribution is in this part. And so how to improve the efficiency under the new or recent the AI scale. Yes, please. Yes. So the efficiency here, I mean, using less memory and less data and less computation. The memory, so we can consider as the computer memory. So it also, in terms of the model, it represents the number of parameters for this model. And the computation represents the number of flops. It represents the operation, the number of operations in that model. So it also indicates some of the energy consumption by that model. Yes. So actually, I'm trying to get a better trade-off between the performance and the accuracy, a performance of the cost. So everything that we do with the AI, we need to pay a cost. I want to get a better trade-off between the cost and the efficiency, using less cost, achieving a similar, even higher performance. Yeah, thank you. So any other question? Okay, good. So let's continue. So in next section, I will talk about my contribution on the parameter efficiency, especially I study the legible pruning under the pre-train and fine-tune paradigm. And the problem that I study here is that I want to do the pruning under the pre-train and fine-tune paradigm. So I want to reduce the size of the large-scale AI model to fit some of the memory constrained scenario, especially for the deployment scenario for the inference stage. So what is pruning? So pruning, so typically I consider this is the typical three layers of networks. I want the pruning aims to remove some of the collections between layers. These collections actually, in a mathematical way, is some of the weight value in the weight matrix. So I want to reduce the number of the value in the weight matrix. So what is pre-train and fine-tune? The pre-train and fine-tune is right now the standard and most popular pipeline for large-scale AI models. So the large-scale AI model will first initialized, and then it will be there will be a pre-train stage. The pre-train stage means that the large-scale model will be trained on some of the general and large-scale data to get some of the general purpose knowledge. After that, there will be a pre-trained model. The pre-trained model is very general. So when you want to apply the model to some of the downstream specific task, you will just only need to do a few epochs of fine-tuning on the task specific data. So that's called fine-tuning. So fine-tuning only requires a few epochs for the training, but it's on the task of specific data. Now, after the fine-tuning, we can get the task-specific fine-tune model, and finally, we will do the testing. Our goal here is we want to reduce the model size without compromising accuracy. There are some of the existing efforts in this area. So one category is try to perform pruning during the pre-train stage. So this is the pipeline of the pre-train and fine-tune. And so the first category, they try to perform the pruning during the pre-train stage. So the output of the pre-training is the pre-train model, and the pre-train model is also the pruned one. The second category tries to perform the pruning during the fine-tune stage. So it means that the output of the fine-tuning is the task-specific fine-tune model, and it is also a pruned model. It with much less much less number of parameters inside. However, there are some of the main limitations for these existing research efforts. The first one is about the model capacity. The typical way, so when we talk about the pruning, the typical way that we remove some of the layers or structures of the model. So, however, we believe that the model capacity is related to the structure, architecture. For example, like the deeper and wider, and people believe this architecture will have higher capacity. But this one, it means that the pruned model will lost some of the capacity. The second limitation is about some of the losing of the knowledge. So this figure describes the pre-training, the fine-tuning stage, and the input model is the pre-trained one. The output model is the task-specific one. The pre-trained model, because it trained on some of the large corpus general data, so it contains some of the general purpose knowledge. However, after the fine-tuning on the downstream task-specific data, the task-specific fine-tuned model, after prune, it will only contain some parts of the knowledge. So it means that only some of the knowledge will be discarded during the pruning process. So we want to first aims to so my methods in general wants to enhance the model capacity and also try to avoid or mitigate the knowledge lost. My first significant contribution is that I propose the hypothesis that pruning will increase the risk of overfitting under the pre-train and then fine-tune paradigm. So the significance is that the conventional wisdom in the pruning area, people believe that the prune model will, because it has less parameter, so it will has low probability to encounter the overfitting issue. But my answer is no. So under the pre-train fine-tune, pruning will increase overfitting. So the overfitting issue actually leads to the knowledge lost for the pruning process. So before I go into more details about the proposed method, I want to briefly introduce why is the overfitting happening. This is mainly because that the prune model contains will lose two parts of knowledge. So in this figure, it shows the knowledge analysis of the prune models, and outer circle is the general purpose knowledge, and the inner circle is the task-specific knowledge. So after the pruning, the prune model will lose two parts of knowledge. So you can see one part is in the black area, the other part in the red area. The red area is the discard knowledge from the general purpose knowledge. However, the conventional pruning, we do not have such kind of general knowledge. So under the pre-train fine-tuning, we will lose the red color one. So during the training process, the method aims to recover this discard knowledge. So it means that in order to recover this extra discarding knowledge, it will require more data. But however, the downstream task data is fixed, so we do not have more data. So this leads to data de-efficiency. The data de-efficiency means that there's a lot of parameter, but there's less this data. So this will occur the overfitting issue. That's the general description. And I also studied some empirical study and to demonstrate the overfitting issue in the real world task. So for example, I conduct experiments on the MRPC, which is from the group benchmark dataset in the NLP domain. So more information about the MRPC you can find in this paper. So in this figure, the X represents the training steps, Y represents the accuracy on MRPC, and this figure corresponding the pruning process under the sparsity of 0.95. It means that we will remove 95% of parameter of the model during the learning process or training process. So there are two lines inside. One is the red line, the other is the blue line. The red line is the performance on the training data. The blue line is the performance on the testing data. So we can see there is a gap between the performance on the training set and the performance on the testing set. I mean that there is overfitting occurred. So I propose three methods to address this issues, these limitations. So for example, one limitation is the model capacity. So I propose to use the sparse protein and to enhance the model capacity. And for the overfitting issue, which leads to knowledge lost, I propose three methods. One uses the knowledge simulation as the regularization, and the second one I propose the progressive learning. Progressive learning, which aims to only optimize parts of the architecture at each iteration. So it will not optimize all the parameters at once. And the second one that I utilize the generative learning, which aims to generate more synthetic data to augment the downstream task data. So in this talk, I will mainly focus on the first work. In general, it's the sparse protein plus the knowledge distillation. So what is sparse protein? So the sparse protein, in general understanding, is that it aims to remove some of the connections of the model between layers, while at the same time keeping the architecture. So this figure shows the demonstration of the sparse protein. The left one is the original dense model. The right one is the prune model after the pruning. You can see the prune model has the same architecture as the original dense model. But the difference is that within each layer, some of the weight metrics some of the value in the root matrix are set to 0. So this is the sparse pruning. So when we determine which neuron or which collection we want to remove, usually we will use the absolute value, but other options are flexible. And in contrast, the right one shows the structure pruning. So the prune model will lose some of the layers. So why sparse pruning? First, read that the sparse model usually achieve a higher capacity than the dense model under the same number of parameters. So in this figure, you can see the X represents the flops, the compute inside this model, and the Y represents the accuracy. There are two lines. The red line is the sparse version of the efficient nets, and the green one is the original dense efficient nets. So we can see from this figure under the same budgets of the flops, the sparse version can achieve a higher performance. And under the same budgets of the accuracy, we can see sparse model will require much lower the flops compared to the original dense one. So it means that the sparse model can achieve a better trade-off between the accuracy and the computation. The second advantage is that it's about the generalization ability. So, so the conclusion is that the sparse model is very general. So according to the ICLR 2019 best paper, the lottery ticket hypothesis, we know that every dense model will contain a sparse subnetwork inside, which can achieve the similar performance as the original dense one. So the significance of the generalization ability, that means that we can apply the sparse architecture design or the sparsity, introducing the sparsity into almost every model architecture. In addition, from the other domains, like the domain from the hardware and the system domain, so people also believe that the sparsity is the key components of the next generation of AI computing. For example, like the Intel Architecture Day 2020, Intel believe that the sparsity is a renovation of the architecture, the chip architecture design, due to its high computation efficiency. And also, at the AI Hardware Summit 2019, people identified the AI1, AI2, and the people believe that the sparsity is the key component of AI2 due to its the high computation efficiency. Okay, so we talk about the sparse pruning, and our work is, in general, you can consider is the combination of the sparse pruning and the knowledge distillation. So what is knowledge distillation? So knowledge distillation is also the student and teacher framework. So this is a teacher. A teacher is usually a large and a pre-trained one. It means that during the optimization, during the training process, the teacher will be fixed. The parameter will not be updated during the training of the teacher. However, the student is the smaller one, and you can see, so the student is also the target or the output of the distillation framework. So we want to generate a student which has much smaller amount of parameter than the teacher, but can achieving a similar performance as the teacher. So given an input data, we will fed the data into both the teacher and the student, the same data, and we will get the output from the teacher and the student. And we will regard the difference between the outputs of teacher and student as a loss. We will calculate the gradient and make the back propagation to update the students. So that's the general description of the knowledge distillation. And so recall that my goal in this project, it aims to compress or reduce the size of some of the large-scale pre-trained AI models. Specifically, I study the BERT model, the BERT architecture. So here's the question. The BERT model is a little complex. It contains more than 100 million parameters. So how can you perform, where should you perform the pruning, and where should you perform the distillation? So in this figure shows the general architecture of the BERT model. So you can see, actually it is the multiple layers of the transform layer. This is the input data, x1, 2, 3. you can consider it as the sentence. The 1, 2, 3 are some of the words, and the sentence will be processed by each layer one by one, and finally we'll get outputs. And each layer, this shares the same architecture inside. So it shows in the left part. More specifically, it contains, for each layer, it contains two main components. One is the self-attention module, and on top of the self-attention module is the two-layer network layers. You can see there's some blocks inside, and there are some the W denoted by W. There are some the weight matrix, or also the linear transformation matrix. So in general, the self-attention aims to modeling the relationship between the different token or different the words, and the two layers used to instruct some hidden representation for each word. So that's the general description of the BERT model. Here I will briefly in higher level describe my proposed method. It's called the Sparse BERT. So I propose the sparse pruning plus the layer-wise KD. The KD represents the knowledge distillation. So this is the student model, and the student model is also our target that we want to generate, which can have much less parameter than the original one. So you can see it's the same architecture as the original one. So how can we apply the sparse pruning? So you can see there's some the block inside this block. So we recall that there are some the weight matrix and the linear transformation. So we will apply the pruning to this matrix. The reason why we apply the pruning on this to this matrix, this is because we found that the dominance of the number parameter and the dominance of the flops are these linear transformation layers. So they are dominant. So as a result, we want to prune them. So we intuitively apply this pruning and to this matrix that will lead to the performance drop significantly. So in order to recover some of the performance, we will apply knowledge distillation. So knowledge distillation, so on the right part, on the left part, this is the teacher. Teacher is the pre-trained one. So we will apply the knowledge distillation between the teacher and students. And this is only a demonstration for one corresponding layers. And we will apply the similar distillation for other left layers correspondingly. More specifically, we will apply the knowledge distillation on two positions. One is the self-attention module, because the self-attention module is believed the most important component in the transformer architecture. The second one is the output. You can see at the top. This is the output for each layer. This is the hidden representation from each layer. So we also want to do the distillation between this at this position. So in summary, so the student, which is smaller because it will be pruned, it will mimic the behavior, the outputs of the teacher at the every layer at the for the self-attention and for the output. So that's the general description. And the distillation loss, we just use the mean square error. So because the output, for example, is the vector, we just need to minimize the distance between the vectors. The mean square error is a popular one. So other options are flexible. Okay, so let's see some experiment results. I conducted the experiments on a group benchmark. A group benchmark is a typical and the standard evaluation data sets. You can find more information there. And in this table, there are some of the baseline and different the task. In this column, it shows it indicates the remaining weights after pruning. So for example, at the bottom, we can see the 5%. It means that we will remove 95% of the parameters. So only 5% will be kept. There are 4 tasks, the QNY, MRPC, RT, and column. The most right column is the average performance of over the 4 tasks. The bottom row is our method. So it's called Sparse BERT. So we can get the performance 75.1, and we only use 5% of parameter. So in comparison, this baseline, our methods can achieve a little higher performance than this method, but more importantly, we can reduce much more parameters than this baseline. So more than 1 magnitude order of the sparsity compared to this baseline. Any question? Yes, please. I'm familiar with the distal bird. You can see distal bird is one baseline. That one I'm not sure. I recall that one. I'm not sure about the detail, but we can have some offline discussion about that paper. The difference between the distal birds, the distal bird is this one. The distal bird is from the Hugging Face, group. So their main technique that they use the distillation to compress bird architecture. But the difference is that they use the structure pruning. We pose the sparse pruning. So it means that after the pruning, their model will have less structure, have less layers. So as we said that model capacity will be limited. So that's the difference. Yeah, please. Yeah. So could you repeat the question again? Ah. Mm-hmm. Your question is that there are different versions of transformer. So what's the difference? There are different transformer architectures.
Which uses sparsified something.
Oh, I see. I think that the sparsity that I introduced, is the most popular, is the common. I prune the value according to the magnitude value. So it's most. I can also study the other criteria like the gradients or the sensitivity to the loss. But I think the magnitude value would be the most popular one. In addition, my proposed method is very general. It can be applied to every architecture because we only focus some sparsity of the linear transformation. The linear transformation is the backbone of all the existing methods architecture. Thank you. That's my answer. Address your question. Thank you. We can have some offline discussion. Thank you. This is the original model, and we can see we can remove 95% of parameter, but we only have 1.4 performance drop. Beside the reduction of the number parameter, we also study the reduction in terms of flops. So our method, Sparse can achieve 20 times smaller and the flops compared to the original dense one. Okay, 3 takeaways. The first one is that I propose the sparsity to enhance the model capacity. So the sparsity, I think, so as we recall that it's very general. It can be applied to every architecture. So if you found sometimes you found the performance that not work very well, you could also consider some of the sparse architecture design and introducing the sparsity into your model. Second one is that I study the knowledge distillation to transfer knowledge. The distillation is quite a good way to transfer some knowledge from different domains into your methods, into your model. So if you study like the multitask learning or transfer learning, you can consider knowledge distillation. Last one that I propose the counter-traditional hypothesis and also the 3 specific methods to prune the large-scale AI model. So if you also do experiments with some of the large-scale AI models, you can, with your limited memory, you can try our methods. So, okay, this is the second section. So any question here? Yes, please, Ali. Mm-hmm.
What does testing consist?
Testing consisted. Yeah, I can go back to the other slide. Testing. So this is you mean the bottom one? So your question is what is testing?
Yeah, what does it consist of?
Yes. Consist of. Thank you for the question. The testing usually, so it's a benchmark data set. So they will the company or the group, they will provide some of the unlabeled data. So you will feed feed this data into your model to generate some of the label, and then you will provide this label to their website. They will calculate the performance for your model. Thank you. So let's go back to Okay. So in that session, I will talk about my contribution on the computation efficiency. And so I study how to search for the compressed model for all scenarios. So we'll talk about the level pruning, but level pruning target at the deployment scenario. It targets the inference stage. But in order to get a good prune model, it usually requires a lot of training cost in order to get that. So in this section, I will talk about some of the ways to improve the training efficiency to get that compressed model. So this figure, we will see there are many different the deployment scenario from the cloud AI to the mobile AI to tiny AI. So they have different constraints in terms of memory and in terms of computation. And however, the most of the efforts on model compression, they will design some the efficient architecture before the compression. So this is the hand engineered. It will require some of the cost of the architecture design. The second one that most of the efforts, they are task specific one. So if you task your method is task specific one, when you encounter a new task or some other task, you will repeat your process again and again. So which is very costly. And the second motivation is that's about the training cost, the environment issues. So in this figure, it shows some the carbon footprint benchmarks. So you can see, the first row is the carbon dioxide emissions for the round trip flight between New York and San Francisco. And in the middle one, there's some the carbon dioxide emission for the human lifetime and for the American life, and also the US car. And at the bottom is the carbon dioxide emission for training the transformer model. So the conclusion is that training a transformer model, it will generate the carbon dioxide emission, which is 5 times than the lifetime of the 5 years car, the US car. And so it means that training the large-scale AI model will bring about a huge pressure on the environment aspect. So our work is so the transformer. You mean hold on for what? You mean for the training? Oh, for training. So I also showed in the previous slide. So if you only use one single GPU for training a transformer, which has more than 100 million parameters, it requires more than 500 years for training using only one single GPU. We will not, excuse me. We actually, there is only one company already did that. That's OpenAI. So the OpenAI is the only company that train a very big model. So typically, actually, they use the large scale clusters. So how many GPU? I forget the details of the number of the GPU, but more than 1,000 GPUs for the parallel training. Along, so I remember if I'm not wrong, so it's more than 1 month for the training. So I mean, it's not for the typical transformer model; it's for the GPT-3. So more than 1 month, and the cost is more than $1,000 for the training. Yeah, more than $1,000. Sorry, 1,000 million? Yeah, 1,000. No, 1,000 million. So it's the 10 million. I'm sorry, 10 million. Excuse me. No, it's OpenAI. Yeah. Yes. Get the well-trained model, GPT-3. So that is the checkpoints of the model. So some of the parameters well-trained is. Yeah. You can even do some of the programming, solving the math problem, and so it's very powerful. But now people found that there's some of the bias inside because there's no guidance for the training, so there could be some bias. $10 million, yes, the total cost. So you can see, so the full training, yes. So you can see OpenAI does not train again, so just the fixed one. Training the GPT-3, yeah, once. Yeah. Yeah, because of due to the high cost, they do not train again. Yes. 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 Yeah, it can be applied to many domains. It works very well compared. Well, after we can have a more detailed discussion. Thank you. Yeah. 10 minutes left. Oh, sure. So in this section, my goal is I want to efficiently train multiple complex models to fit the diverse deployment scenario, and also given us the scenario, I want to determine what is the optimal compressed model for that budget. And there are some existing efforts, and one is that they do the pre-specified architecture methods. So they will design this architecture previously at first, and then repeat the training for each scenario, which is very costly. And other methods try to search for some of the compressed model, and however, from the huge search space. However, due to the huge space, there could be some problem, like you cannot guarantee that the search candidates are well optimized, and you cannot guarantee that they can work together in a good way. So my second contribution would be that I propose a framework which is called a few shot architecture search to distill the compressed models. So the significance of this framework is here. So using one sentence, I want to train a huge model and search for the compression for all. So you can see the left part is the general huge AI model, and the right part is the compressed model for different downstream task scenario. Some of the scenario require have the more strict the memory constraint for the model size, but some will have the a little larger. And so motivated by our framework, I propose two methods, and one is called the task-agnostic super language model training and the super LM. And the other one, the first one is targeted at the NLP domain. The other one is called efficient lightweight vision transformer search, which is for the vision domain. And they share some of the main techniques. So for example, I designed some of the task-agnostic laws, the task-agnostic laws which can help the methods be applied to different task scenarios. The second one, I designed the SuperNet training pipeline, so which means it can reduce the training cost, the repetitive training cost for different scenarios. The last one that I designed some of the search strategies to provide the optimal compressed model for different scenarios. So in this talk, I will mainly introduce the first one for the NLP domain. In general, I will give the overview of our method. It contains 3 steps. The first step that I designed a good search space. So instead of use the whole search space, which is very huge, I divide the whole search space into 3 subspaces. The benefits of this design that it can better encode the information of the huge space, and also it can avoid some of the optimization issues between the different subnetworks during the training. The second one that I designed the task-agnostic training for the super LM. So this figure describes the super LM. It is as original, has the same architecture as for example, the BERT model. So the difference is that all the subnetworks will be contained in this super LM. So all the subnet works will share the parameter from the super LM. So that's the meaning why they call it the super LM. And the last one is the search components. I designed some of the search strategies to return the compressed model. So this is the design for the space. I focus on the transformer and architecture. So I identify some of the important hyperparameter including the number of layers, a number of hidden dimension, and I also divide the huge space into 3 subspaces, and each subspaces will cover different ranges of number of parameter and number of flops. And in the middle there, the tuple represents some of the lowest value or the highest value and the steps for each hyperparameter. So for example, like the 471, it means that for the super tiny LM, for the super LM tiny, for the number of layers, it allows the smallest layer is with 4 layers, the largest layer is 7 layers, and we will consider the step of 1. So the super LM tiny will consider the architecture with the 4 layers, 5 layers, 6 layers, and 7 layers. That's the meaning of this tuple. And there's a question. So given a super language model, how can we extract the subnet work? So for example, given the alpha LDRH, so L is so first we will extract the L layers from the super LM. And so we will get the extracted subnet work, which only have the L layers. Then we will extract some of the submetrics from each layer. So you can see for each layer, we will extract the bottom left submatrix. And the last step is we will extract the leftmost H heads. Because as we said, the self-attention module is some of the parallel computing process. It typically contains 12 parallel computing process, and each process is considered as a head. So we can only keep some of them. This is for the task-agnostic super LM training. So I will not go into details here. So just the general idea. So we will first sample some of the subnet works from the super LM. So we will have different size, the super subnet works, and for each sample the subnet work, we will do the distillation between the subnet work and the super LM. We will get the loss distillation between them and accumulate the gradient for all the subnet works. So one subnet work, one super LM, and one subnet work, the same super LM. So we will accumulate all the gradients. So we will use the accumulated gradients to back propagation to update the super LM. The super LM is our training target. So that's the general pipeline process. So we will sample, and for each sample subnet work, we'll calculate the loss, and we will accumulate all their loss and to update the super LM. So I will just skip these details. General idea is that the L here is loss function. The L, because we do the task agnostic one, we do not use any label information here. So more information can be found in my paper. So one more additional comment is that so the loss is based on the self-attention module, especially from the last layer. So this is the takeaway. So people believe that for the transformer architecture, the self-attention module is the most important component, and the last layer plays the most important function for all the layers. So that's the reason why we only use the attention and to design the loss distillation. I provide some of the two search strategies. One is called the task agnostic search. The other one is called task proxy. For task agnostic search, I will use determine. So we will first. So the user will first give us the constraint or the budget. How many GPU? How many parameters it is allowed? So we will determine all the candidates for the budget. Then we will do ranking. We will rank all the candidates in terms of their loss and the validation set. So that's for the task agnostic, because the loss only does not use any label information. So it's called task agnostic search. The second one, task proxy. Task proxy means that we will first use the proxy, a task as the proxy. We will use the performance on the proxy as the estimation of the candidates on other tasks. So it means that the task should be very general, and it can have the ability to estimate the performance on other tasks. The MLI could be one of the choices. Okay, so let's see some of the experiments. So this figure study the trade-off between the flops. The X is the flops, the Y is the performance. So so our goal is that we want to, so each dot here is the model, is a compressed model, either generated by our methods or by the baselines. So so more left top, the more left top, the better the compressed model it is. So we want the dots should be this way, this direction. So that's our goal. So we can see the performance is the evaluated on MLI task. So all the compressed model will be evaluated on this task to generate this performance. So this, for example, this is the checkpoints or the compressed model of our method. This is the one baseline for the blue dot. It's from the NASPERT. So in our study, we include many strong baselines, many very strong baselines. So the NASPERT is one of them. So you can see, compared to NASPERT, we can achieve the similar performance, the Y value, but our method has much less flops compared to the baseline. So you can see the X value. Another comparison, this one. So the red line, the red one is our method, the compressed model generated by our methods. And this is the one compressed model generated by the AutoTinyBird. And AutoTinyBird is also the search method. We will automatically aim to search for the compressed model for the scenario. So we can see, compared to the AutoTinyBird, our method can have the similar flops, but the performance of our method is much higher. So it means that we can achieve a better trade-off between the flops and the performance. Okay, the next slide shows the trade-off between the accuracy and the parameter. So the previous slide we talked about between the flops. Let's talk about the parameter. So similar observation we can observe here. We can also study some other baselines. So just skip here because due to the time limitation. So 3 takeaways. The first one that I proposed super network learning, which can reduce the training cost. The second one that I designed the task-agnostic training. And the third pipeline, I use the KD and focus on the self-attention module, which is the most important of transformer architecture. And I also developed the architecture search framework and the 2 specific methods to automatically distill the compressed model for both NLP and CV. And to summarize, my research is centered around the resource-efficient deep learning. It's motivated by some of the real-world resource constraint scenario, like limited memory, limited data, and limited power. I try to address these issues from 3 aspects. The first one, the parameter efficiency. I study the model compression. I also study the modular networks. The modular networks wants to modularize the network into some of the network. So in network, each node is the subnetwork instead of the node or neuron. So this will benefit from the generalization ability of the network or model. I also study the data efficiency. And the data efficiency, I study the fusion learning and the contrast learning and the heterogeneous data learning. Last part, I study the computation efficiency. For example, like the architecture search and the sparse training. And so I have 3 submissions this year for the SML and also have a US patent. Beside my own work, I'm a person enjoying the cross-disciplinary collaboration. So, for example, I have the collaboration with people from the cross-lingual NLP. And I also do some the study on the graph neural networks with the application with the social analysis and the financial system modeling, and also some the brain network analysis. And I also study the longitudinal data analysis. And last one would be the reinforced learning method learning in the time series domain and the urban computing. For the future plan, the short term, I will focus on the multimodal data efficiency. I'm very interested about a single learning system which can handle the data from different modalities. And the second one that I studied, the robust and adaptive parameter efficiency. For example, I want to efficiently scale the existing methods to the new datasets and the new task. For non-tutorial, I focus on algorithm hardware co-efficiency AI system. So because I believe the co-design of the algorithm and hardware would be the next future of the AI in the next 5 years. At last, I want to say thank you to my advisor and my mentors and all my collaborators I enjoying the 5 years in the PhD study. I consider it as a way to rethink myself and also build my future. And thank you so much for your listening. I feel happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Very much time. So, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the talk, and thank you for joining the seminar. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
And we will continue now with our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
So did you train the whole model?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So no, actually, so you know the cost of the
So did you take the Hugging phase from
Yeah, I just
library?
I just use the pre-trained checkpoints and the study. Yeah.
Took the Hugging phase library, you took the BART model?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
took the checkpoints and then you like modified the architecture.
Yes. So you can just start from the, so they provide some checkpoints for the pre-trained model.